Give it a couple seconds. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 128 of the Blues Fan Forum podcast, your source for blues news, views, and fan interviews. The podcast by the fans for the fans. Today's guests, we have Jordan joining us today. Welcome, Jordan.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's going to be a great podcast, great episode. Really excited that Blues hockey has returned to the airwaves. But first and foremost, I kind of want to jump right into kind of like some not breaking news for Blues fans, but one that you mentioned right before we started shooting this podcast is there's not going to be a familiar voice that St. Louis Blues fans hear, unfortunately, and that's John Kelly being let go by the Blues organization. What's your kind of take on it? I know I had a couple hot takes that I was sharing with Jacob Steve, but what's your synopsis of this whole situation?
It's not a good look for the Blues media. Like whoever's not like the Blues ever management. It's like Bally or not even Bally. It's FanDuel now. They've been changing hands so many times. It really is kind of sad to see a legend in the press box go. Uh, it's kind of unceremoniously too. It's just really not the kind of ending he deserved as a longtime broadcaster with the Blues. John Kelly and Panger were, I think, probably will be the hardest duo to ever top. And yeah, so I know not everybody liked him, but to me, he's, for as far as I can remember, been the voice on the TV. So it's hard to kind of see him go and to see him go somewhere else.
I think a lot of fans and me included, can when you think of the St. Louis Blues, and we talked about the Towel Man being very synonymous with the
Hmm.
St. Louis Blues, you think about John Kelly too. Like that's a name that I've known all my life. The Blues have been around for 50 plus years, and that's just something that goes along with the Blues organization. Hell, his dad was the
Right.
voice of the Blues for a while, Dan Kelly. I
Hmm.
mean, you got the Shamrock that's lifted into the rafters inside Enterprise, so it's like it just doesn't make sense. I mean, obviously it made sense for maybe media relations and stuff that goes on behind the scenes that obviously the Blues fan forum just we weren't contacted about that, but just kind of weird, just starting off the season with John Kelly not being one of the voice of the Blues. I mean, I'm very excited to see what Chris Kerber has to do and Joey
Hmm.
Vitale. Now that they have the switch over, that I feel like they're doing both a hybrid. I think it's both in game and like they're doing the play by play through the radio. So
Yeah, that'll
it'll
be
be fun to see
interesting.
how that works out. But
Hmm.
just curious of your perspective of that whole thing.
I guess we just kind of took for granted that we've got. Well, I took for granted that Panger and Jacobs always going to be the duo, but I mean, I know Panger's not a cheap get. He's expensive, and for a reason, he's the best out there for color. And with Kelly being the household name in St. Louis for broadcasting, I guess also just kind of figured he'd always be here until he was ready to retire. So yeah, it's just kind of a I'm a little numb to it after the first mention of him being let go. Seeing him be picked up by the Kings is just kind of I'm glad he's getting a job because there's no way
Yeah.
he doesn't deserve to be in the booth. As a
Hmm.
color commentator, it looks like though, but I, I won't really have a chance to hear him. So yeah, I think it's to what you mentioned with Curbs and Joey. It'll be interesting to see how they handle both radio and TV. It's I mean that's what preseason's for, I guess. For broadcasters too, they get a chance to figure it out.
Yeah. I I think Joe Vitale uh, has definitely been, I think, a voice that we've all really enjoyed listening to. Chris
Hmm.
Kerber obviously brings the excitement from the radio's perspective. I mean, I'm listening in the car, and I feel like every time that the Blues handle the puck, we're going down and scoring. So I'm excited to kind of see him kind of take his niche to the TV realm. But yeah, John Kelly and Tom Calhoun are names that are synonymous with the Blues, and just
Yeah.
unfortunately, John got the short end of the stick. But before we jump into the podcast itself, I want to get some house notes out of the way. Um, we are presented by Scooters Coffee. There are a couple locations that are the most important to us. So those are the locations on Highway 143 in Troxler Way in Highland, and then Vandalia Street and Indiana Avenue in Collinsville. Or if you're not around those locations, we got 30 other locations you can visit as well. Scooter's Coffee if you need a little morning pick me up or an energy infusion, you know where to grab it. We are also uh, presented by Hughes Custom Design. Hughes Custom Design is a family owned and operated small business out of Maryville, Illinois. They specialize in laser hand cut painted signs. They have options upon request. I actually have one that's hanging up. I changed my setup this year, so you can't see it, but I promise it's
Ah,
up there. They're really cool. Perfect for any man cave, office, you name it. But that's Hughes Custom Design. Really excited to have them on board this year as well. Same with Scooter's Coffee. So if you need a morning pick me up, you know where you're going. But let's jump into the podcast. The first question I kind of wanted to talk to you about was the new acquisitions for the St. Louis Blues. Right,
hmm
we've got some new faces to the Blues organization. Some old, some new. The first one that I want to talk about is Pius Suter. Um, and then the second one we'll talk about is Nick Bukestad. Third would be Logan Mayu.
I think
And
that's
then the
right.
fourth was kind of like a wild card this year. Is I actually had a chance to kind of talk to one of the Blues players that came into my restaurant here, not too long ago. But
Oh yeah.
Milan Lucic on a professional tryout. So first one, Pius Suter. What do you know about him? What have you heard? And what are your expectations for him this year?
Yeah, apart from that, I knew he played for Vancouver. It was like one of like the three suitors that they had on the team. So I was looking up. I didn't know a whole lot about him, honestly. I knew they had a career year in goals with 25, and looks like also with assists he tied a career high with 21. I mean, he's been to Chicago, he's been to Detroit, then to Vancouver, and he's been hovering around that 14, 15 goal and marker, and to shatter that and go to 25. I think it bodes well for the Blues to know who he's playing with, especially as a center. He's going to have a lot of talented wingers, and I mean, Robert Thomas is elite, but you look at the depth of scoring that we have that he's got to play with on the wings. It's no surprise that the points are going that high. So I am excited to see what he can do. Uh, he's been around for a little bit, so some more stability on the center is, I think, what the Blues were looking for. Keeps people like Buchnevich at the wing where they want to be um, until Dvorsky's ready. So if Suter doesn't work out, you have Dvorsky waiting in the wings to come in and take up that third line center spot. So it seems pretty low risk for the Blues, and I'm really excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, I think the Pius Suter was for me. I mean, I feel like we have a lot of depth for the centerman position. I know we talk about we have a lot of wingers, but like I do think like our roster is very set on centerman. With
Mhm.
the addition of Pius Suter, he's a left-handed shot. He's kind of a smaller centerman, 29 years old. Like he is old when it comes to like people in the league.
Mhm.
So I'd like to see what he does, especially with the line that he's going to center. With 25 goals and 21 assists last year, he played 81 games, and that's something that I feel like the Blues, it's music to everyone's ears. You're playing 81 games. We're going to talk about this here in a second about the
Yeah.
the, the league transitioning from 82 to 84 games, but the Blues don't have a lot of guys that stay healthy. And we talked about that probably for a latter part of two and a half to 3 months on the podcast last year. But having a guy that is going to play you 81 games can only help your depth and your scoring. There was times where the Blues were putting in 6, 7 goals, and then they'd be putting in one or two. So having that offensive depth, is he going to light the lamp every time? No, but 25 goals and 21 assists, like that's not a bad look.
Right.
I'd like to see what he does for our organization and how our mindset and our skill set or his skill set kind of play hand in hand. I think Jim Montgomery, now that he's going to have a full season under his belt, is only going to be I don't know, is only going to be speak volumes to what our team can do. That we'll obviously talk about the little bad taste in our mouth that happened last year. So Pius Suter, I'm excited for him. I don't
hmm
really know too much about him whenever that happened, but now he's on our organization. I can't wait to see what happens. So the
Yeah.
next one is Nick Bukestad. I feel like we all know a little bit about Nick Bukestad.
But definitely recognize the name. A long-time Florida mainstay. I mean, heck, 157 career goals. It looks like in 760 games. That's what it says. Yeah. So,
Hmm.
uh, career like player on the wing. Good veteran presence for the Blues, and yeah, a big get for sure. Someone who can play you. up to 82 games. Looks like he's had a hard time getting a full season in, but you know, if he can stay healthy, definitely think he can be a contributor, or at the very least, again, someone who can fill in for uh, one of our prospects to come up and take up. He's only on a 2-year contract, so I think that's kind of like the beauty of these contracts. You know, with neighbors who are developing on their own, you have people like Suter and Bukestad come in. If they don't work out, then it's an easier out. They don't have to re-sign them and wait 4 years to try to trade the contract. Um, it's not. I mean, it's under 2 million too. So clearly, he's just a career, you know, veteran presence that'll be good for the young guys coming up. And I like it to see what he can do. And again, I don't think he's going to be like a light the lamp every night, like you mentioned with Suter, but uh, couldn't hurt to have that kind of guy on your team. And I'm glad to see him.
I yeah, I really liked the acquisition of Nick Bukestad. I don't know. I've just kind of been on his. I don't know. I wouldn't say his fan club, but I've really liked where he's played and how he's played over the course of his career. Like you said, 760 games played, 157 goals. Like he's not going to be a guy that lights the lamp all the time, but I think
Yeah.
that
Oh, yeah.
veteran presence, he's
Hmm.
6'5", 205. I feel like is only going to help our play. The Blues tend to play a very heavy forecheck. We're not we're not a team that's going to blow you away in the stat sheet. We're not going to be, the Connor McDavids or the Nathan McKinnons of the NHL. We're gonna grind out wins. We're gonna play the heavy forecheck. We're gonna grab our D and get them engaged in the forecheck. I think a big body centerman like Nick Bukestad was a very smart pick. And I really hope Alexander Steen was doing most of the picking and choosing since he is going to be taking the helm
Hmm.
here. I think after this year is when it takes effect. But I'm
I
really
think so.
hoping that's what I was really hoping was he was kind of like making the moves and shaking the puzzle around and kind of seeing what fit. Um, but I do like that. I like that acquisition. I love that addition to the team. Yeah, Nick Bukestad, 66 games. He had 8 goals, 11 assists last year. Kind of a down year, but for a guy of his
Yeah.
size and his stature, I don't think the last what if he's a bottom six forward. You're just gonna ask him to kind of grind away. Like make that move to the forecheck. Grind down
Yeah.
hard, and
Yeah, he's
then
six foot
now you got
six,
your
205 pounds. He's a big body.
yeah,
Yeah, like,
big body. Yeah.
definitely.
And I think that's what we need. I think we need those key players that just may not hit you in the stat sheet, but it's not about the stats. I mean, I'm huge on Alexei Torpachenko, and
Hmm.
that dude's like a deer. Like that dude's 6'6". I'm pretty sure like maybe 190 pounds soaking wet, but he runs around the ice and is constantly hounding the puck. And I just think that ceiling is pretty high for Alexei Torpachenko. And then you got the what the fuck line, right? Not what the fuck anymore because
Not anymore. Yeah, it's all gone.
the,
But
the, the Fox edition has taken a back seat. But
yeah,
seeing Walker and Torpo, seeing what they did for the Blues last year, I mean, sky's the limit.
right.
Walker's going to be around the puck. So
And
I
he
just
with
love
the
the
other,
Nick Bukestad.
yeah, definitely. They'll be playing with Sonny. It looks like so. Yeah, good to see what they can do. And yeah, guys above them with Bukestad, who I think also bottom six, he could swap with, if let's say Walker or Torchenko once like they improve their play enough, then they deserve a chance to go to the third line. You can slot guys like Bukestad down to take their spot. I
Yeah,
just think, I mean, I think the fourth line just works so well as it is that they wouldn't want to mess with it. But who knows? It's a long season.
I love that addition. And then the last one, Logan Mayu.
Hmm.
I'm not too sure. I wasn't very sure of his addition coming over. What have you heard so far in the news, and what's your expectation for him this season?
Yeah, I haven't heard a whole lot in the news. I mean, just looking at Puckpedia right now, he's got 875,000 cap hit, 1 year
Hmm.
contract. So clearly the Blues aren't. I mean, they traded away Bolduc, and I think that's the lead you don't want to bury here. We had to get rid of Bolduc, who was just on the precipice of scoring 20 goals, didn't quite reach his
Hmm.
goal, but clearly we gave him this full year. And keep in mind, he started getting towards that number when Montgomery took over with Bannister, and he was, in the lineup, out the lineup, getting kind of jostled around, not settling. He finally had a chance. Monty liked him. He was showing that he could be one of those guys that a solid, top six forward. but unfortunately, we just have such a log jam with forwards that I understand the need to replace defensemen and get like defensemen who can, you know, play with us more than a year or actually pan out for us. And unfortunately, I just think Montreal's not going to go for like Texier or Joseph or Kessel. They're going to go for someone who has the potential that a former first round pick does. And
Hmm.
it stings. It hurts. I hate to see him go, but I am excited for the prospect of what Mayhew can bring. And his history is his history. It looks like he's moved beyond it. There's a little bit of controversy to it, but he's only 22 years old. He still has yet to really prove himself in this league. So I guess that's the 1 year contract side of things. And if it doesn't work out, you do have other guys coming up behind him that may pan out instead. But uh, this seems like a bit of a gamble. Like if it weren't for the Lucic situation, like this would be the signing that I would have the most questions with. But I get where they're coming from, needing the defenseman and kind of removing the jam at forward, especially winger.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you basically said it all that I wanted to say. But yeah, Zach Bolduc going to Montreal. In return, you get a 2021 first round draft pick, 31st overall. He hasn't had a huge sample size in the NHL, so obviously, as Blues fans are like, all right, well, what are we getting in return? We always want to see like an immediate like return on investment. Like, what are we
Hmm.
getting? All right, we gave away what we thought was we everybody loves Zach Bolduc. I felt like he was turning into
Hmm.
an Oscar Sundqvist. Everybody loved Sonny. Everybody loved Bolduc. Like I felt like he was just a big body. He was always all over the place. He was scoring your goals on the power play. He was a likable young kid. I felt
Yeah.
like his ceiling was very high, and obviously Montreal saw that his ceiling was high, and he was picked up pretty good. In return, we get Logan Mayhew, right? We needed some defensive structure. We needed some depth in the D core. Um, with the exit of Torrey Krug, it made sense to go out and get yourself a defenseman. Um, but what are we getting, right? Like we haven't really seen much from him. We don't really have much to compare him to. But I really do think that if he can come in and get under Jim Montgomery, learn the system, be shepherded by Colton Parayko, Cam Fowler, guys that I would easily call veterans of the league. Even I mean, obviously Cam Fowler, but Colton Parayko's been with the Blues for a hot minute. Learn the system, learn the Blues way, understand the culture, and be able to contribute at a high rate. Um, I would easily say that his ceiling is very high, but we just don't know how high it can be.
Hmm.
So I'm really, really interested to see what he does for the Blues and kind of where he fits, right? Like you don't know if he's going to be playing all that much, and if he does, where and who's he going to be paired with. I mean, obviously there's a couple ideas who he's going to be paired
Right.
with, um, but no, I'd really like to see
Yeah. I mean, if Tucker gets
what
in,
what he can
I'd like
do.
to see them.
Yeah. Um, do you think that the
Yeah,
Blues?
and maybe a bit of like a cost saving measure, like in a logical one too, not just like a dumb like cap dump situation. But try to imagine what the price tag on Bolduc would be, especially if he keeps getting better. But I'm excited to see his career go on. But
Yeah, absolutely.
you know,
I just like I say it every podcast, every time we play former Blues. Like I love them. I hope they do well, but
hmm
just don't have a career game against us.
against
That's
right.
gonna be hard to watch.
At least only have two
um,
shots to do it playing
yeah,
against.
absolutely, absolutely. So Logan Mayu and then Milan Lucic. Milan Lucic was given a professional tryout from the St. Louis Blues. Obviously, everybody knows about Milan Lucic and just an absolute weapon that he can be on the ice. I think he had stints with Calgary. I think he's played for a decent amount of teams. I can't remember the last team he actually
I mean,
played for.
I think it was. I think he went for or well, Boston obviously is one who drafts him, but heck, he went to L.A., went to Edmonton, went to Calgary, then went back to Boston for 1 year, and then yeah, he didn't play he didn't play last year, so uh yeah, I mean he
Yeah,
is an old
Boston,
vet.
LA. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's 37 years old, so it's weird. This is like I said. This is the one signing that I'm really not really like, sure where they're going with on this. Uh, I looked at, I watched a hockey guy video on him. He seems to be scratching his head at this as well. It doesn't make any sense. Mainly because take like the controversy out of it. I'm not gonna like dig too much into details, but the whole spousal abuse accusations, charges dropped or not, like, and he's being reinstated by the league, allowed to play in the league. That's one thing. Nobody really likes him as a person anymore. His reputation is tarnished. Uh,
Mhm.
I looked through like all the the Reddit comments on this. Like, everyone's saying the same thing. Why? What are we doing here? And so let's take even that aside. I mean, he is a weapon. He's a big body. He knows how to get rough. He knows how to protect his teammates. But that's not the way the league is built anymore. That's not the way the Blues are built anymore. Like
Right.
we've already gone through not even half of the lineup, but there's nowhere for him to go. Fourth line, that's set with Walker, Sonny, and Torpchenko. Neighbors, Suter, and Bukestad projected for the third. And then you can, Holloway, Shen, Kyrou, Booch, Thomas,
Yeah.
Sninger. They aren't going anywhere. They're not.
Right.
They're not getting usurped. I don't think with all the players we've already signed, it would make sense to then sign Lucic and just kind of eat the money that we would on those contracts. So if it's for a veteran presence in training camp, just to kind of show some young guys, I don't know, like just to be like the veteran presence, I think they can go to Shen, they can go to Falk, they can go to Fowler already, and now
Mhm.
Bukestad, and Falk's got an A, or at least he had an A. If I don't know if he still does. Shen's our captain, and he's got more grit than anybody out there on the ice. So I feel like they have enough role models to keep in house. If you don't need to bring anybody in, but to be a fly on the wall in the office when Steen and or Doug are making that signing, I just don't understand the motive behind it.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the professional contract, they're just trying to kind of see what he has to offer. Like, he did take a year long sabbatical because of obviously the accusations and whatnot. We won't get into people's personal problems, but uh, why not, right? What do you have to lose? It's a professional contract or a professional tryout. You can kind of see if he still has it.
Hmm.
Yeah, he is a role model. He's a role player. I wouldn't say a role model. That don't quote me on that part. He's a role player. Like he has a role. He understands what his job is. He may not be scoring 1,000 goals, but he knows he's
Hmm.
gonna go out there and keep people honest. And he made a huge impact on all the teams he's played doing that exact role. Going out there and kind of establishing the forecheck and making sure that people weren't getting too close to his goaltender. And he'd grit out some time on the ice, but like having a guy like Milan that will have a huge career and a very impactful career in the time that he played for a lot of organizations. It'd be cool. It just is cool to see, right? Like anybody
Right.
like a Milan, right? It'd be like saying, "Oh, we're gonna." Who's a guy that just recently? Oh, if we brought like a TJ Oshie back, right?
Yeah.
Like he may have been old, he may have been going through some stuff, but like if he can still play, like just to have that guy back in an organization that he did so much with. And I don't know why I just compared TJ Oshie to Milan Lucic. I feel like that's comparing like apples to a grapefruit.
Uh huh.
But it's just kind of cool to see that name and that number associated with the Blues uniform, just like a Martin Brodeur. And again, I don't know
That's
why I'm
exactly what I was
comparing
thinking
Martin
of.
Brodeur.
Yeah.
Mar-
He's a blue.
Blues legend, Martin Brodeur.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be cool to see, and I don't know what he's been doing at training camp, or how he's doing, or whatnot. But I did hear that he came in solid. I talked to Colton Pareko about it probably about 3.5,
You
four
give me the
weeks ago.
inside scoop. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happens when you work the Flower Child. You got some inside scoop. The players would come in for dinner and whatnot. But yeah, he was really surprised. He was obviously insanely happy to have a veteran like that in the locker room. But he was like he came in
Yeah.
just ready. He looked like he had never missed a beat. Is what Parego said. So
I guess bottom line, one thing is a age-old adage with us Blues fans, and Doug we trust. If they believe that he can make if he can make an impact, then I'm willing to see where it goes. It's just reputation-wise, like everyone's already like counting him out before he's even been given a game in like even the preseason. So, I don't even know if he'll make it out of training camp. Like I said, I just don't know where he's gonna slot in if he
Sure.
does. But that's he's got the right to earn to play for a spot. So it's if it keeps other people on their toes and if he teaches some guys a couple things, then I guess it'd be all for the better. But it's just
And
it's
I
just a
do
waiting game.
believe, and I do believe, and maybe Jacob can chime in and tell me I'm wrong. Usually I am, but I believe that if he doesn't make an active roster, he then becomes an RFA or a UFA, and that
Uh,
teams can extend like an entry level
yeah.
contract
So
since he has
I think
been
he already is
reinstated.
a
And
UFA. Well, we haven't like signed him to an actual contract. It's under like
yeah,
Puck Me
correct,
says
just a
he's under
professional tryout.
no current contract. So yeah, I guess if it doesn't pan out here, yeah, he'd be free to sign. Well, if anyone's willing to sign him, he'd be willing to able to sign wherever he wanted to go.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, basically he's already a
He's got to
UFA.
be signed by somebody. He's got to be able to go out on a retirement, maybe a 1 year deal, maybe 1.1 AAV. Like I don't know.
I mean, Boston's been
I
making
would
some
say
weird
yeah, I
moves.
would.
They may sign him back again. Who knows? Third tenure with Boston.
Hey, they made a pretty dumb decision in the last 2 years. So let's see if they follow it up with a third one and be like, hey, we'll have him back. You know.
Yeah,
Uh, Thank you, Boston, again for Jim Montgomery.
can't think of enough, honestly.
I want to talk about some things. We were talking about players, and I felt like we should end on this player because I feel like he's not an acquisition. He's not a new guy, but he is going to be entering his first professional year, full professional year in the NHL, and that's Jimmy Snuggerud. So,
Oh yeah.
what did we see from him? What did we see from him last year? What are we gonna see from him this year? And kind of like, what is your take on his role? Obviously, he is. We do think the bee's knees of Jimmy Snuggerud. We thought the bee's knees of him last year when he came in, and
hmm
we were all just like, "Wow." Um, so, what do you think you're going to see from Jimmy this year in a full NHL year, and kind of what is your expectations? Maybe points and just overall how he's going to be on the ice.
Well, I'm looking at Puckpedia right now, and I'm looking at our top line. Right, there's Buchnevich, 800 or excuse me, $8 million cap hit. Robert Thomas, 8.125 on the cap hit. Jimmy Snuggerud, $950,000 is his cap hit for us. So that should say a lot right there. He's on. It seems like be a pro. You're like the rookie year. You got the really low contract, but you're somehow playing up in the top line because you've proved yourself that much. I mean, he's definitely got the skill, the look, and the management's high on him. I'm high on him. I wish he could have gotten a couple more goals, but I think that it's just puck luck didn't work out for him. He scored in the playoff. He scored on the Vezina winning goalie. So clearly he's not afraid to shoot, and that
Hmm.
seems like a thing the Blues cannot get enough of. They need a lot more of that. Um, it's just kind of like this weird, almost surreal moment where it's like we have a guy who really could be something, and you saw, I mean, the chemistry he had with Buchnevich. I can think back to the Colorado game where we won like up like 4 goals in a row on them, and he had a really big goal, deked out like both defensemen, just easy goal for Buch. Uh, he's definitely got the hockey sense. He's got it all. It seems like I think he's going to get bigger. He's just coming out of college, so give the trainer some time to beef him up a little bit, and he can be a real formidable force. They say like the top line should be 2 guys, and then there's the third addition is just kind of there. With Booch and Thomas and now Snugger, I really don't know how that fits. It could be a like a three-headed monster up there, and talking about it, I'm actually getting more excited than I was just thinking about it before. But I'm he might be my guy I'm looking forward to seeing the most, honestly, this year.
Yeah, I think you said it yourself. Like he's just so smart with the puck. I mean, coming out of college, I think it was really smart for him to not enter the draft last year. I think it
hmm
was good to have him come back for one more year. He said he needed to learn more hockey sense. And I do think those guys are just built different. Seeing him playing in the NHL, like I think his puck sense, his hockey sense is already there. Like you heard interviews from Robert Thomas and Braden Shen after a couple of games that they've played with him, and they're like, dude, he's just smart with the puck. Like he's
Yeah.
so young, but he's so talented. Yes, he loves to shoot. He's the opposite of Jordan Kyrou. Like it's just really good kind of having a guy like that that's not afraid to shoot the puck, but is also pretty smart with the puck too. He's not going to make those dumbass turnovers on the corner. He's not going to, cough with the puck in the neutral zone. Like he's going to make that smart, but very excessive pass when he needs to. And like you said, like having Booch, Thomas, and Snuggy on a line together, like that
Right.
that could be a really good line coming up for the Blues. I mean, a lot of talent, a lot of puck presence. I think Robert Thomas is really, really good as a centerman, just handling the puck, making good decisions when he needs to.
Hmm.
Buchnevich has a really good eye for being in the right place at the right time. He's a big dude. It's really hard. I don't understand how guys miss him. He's a big stocky guy out there. But being able to have Jimmy Snuggerud as well as being a weapon on that line, I feel like his ceiling is going to be so high. We'll
Oh
talk
yeah.
about that when we play the game over or under. But I don't know where I'm going to see him in the point standings. Like, do you think he's going to be dishing the puck a lot more when he has chances to shoot? I know we just talked about his ability to shoot the puck whenever, but like,
Yeah, that seems to be just the Blues' MO is like, oh, I wish they would play a more selfish style hockey. They always want to pass, but I mean, I am looking at it as like stats. He's a right-handed shot for one, which is
mhm.
awesome. Not there's too few of those in the league. So he's 6'2" and 187 pounds. So he's a lanky sort of guy. And like I said, if he can kind of fill out and get up, I expect him to gain like 13 pounds. But if he can start to put on that muscle, you can be smart with the puck, but you're gonna get worked over by guys who are just stronger than you. That's just a fact of the sport. So like, I'd like to see him, and that'll come with age. Again, he's 21 years old. I think he's got plenty of time to develop, and we have to afford him
Yeah.
that chance. But I'm hoping that Montgomery's telling him to you just shoot the puck. You just let her rip, all day long, and you'll see him again with Thomas. He can find anybody through the smallest team. So I think it'll be interesting to see how the teams try to defend the first line.
I mean,
Honestly.
he's a natural goal scorer
Oh yeah.
too. Like I remember, I can't remember what team we were playing against, but he was located in the slot, and he had like two guys surrounding him. He got the puck, was on the stick for maybe a second, and he roofs it. And
Mhm.
like that's just an ability that you just have to have. Like you can't the ability to shoot the puck and be able to find the right spaces on the net because like the goalies are just getting bigger. Like there's not a lot of room
Yeah.
on that net. I do think you're right. I think he does need to fill out a little bit. I don't know what his welcome to the NHL moment was, but I do remember him getting a couple good licks last year. Where he's just
Mhm.
gotta, he's gonna get bodied. He's 186 pounds. You said like he's a lengthy
Right.
guy, but like he's gotta learn to beef up a little bit to protect the puck a lot more. I mean, I know we say protect the puck, and Nathan Walker is just he's that crazy Aussie. He's not a
Yeah.
big dude whatsoever, but he plays like he's
No.
6'5",
Mhm.
240 pounds. Like he plays
Little guy with
with a
gumption.
lot of yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
I think if I was just saying anything about Jimmy Snuggerud, I'd like to see some improvements on in the weight room, getting some of that muscle mass, getting beefier to protect that puck, because guys are going to be all over you because the puck's going to find you. So I'm really excited to see what he does and what he adds to that first line, because I know Robert Thomas and Booch are going to be excited to have him along with him. So Jimmy Snuggerud, man, it's
I
going
know
to
it's
be a
only
fun year for that first line for sure.
I know it's only a small sample size, 7 games in the regular season, 1 goal and 3 assists. So, all right, he's clearly not afraid to dish the puck, and I think I think he'll find himself in enough opportunities to shoot the puck, and he'll make opportunities to make the plays he needs to. So he's kind of like a double-sided sword there. So yeah, I'm looking
All
forward to
right,
that.
so along the lines of players, now we're going to go to goaltenders because I think NHL.com just came out with a stat that I really want us to discuss. So it's no secret that the Blues really like to ride this 1-2 tandem. We've had guys like um, Brian Elliott, and we had guys
Mm-hmm.
like
Yara
Jordan
Halak.
Bennington, Joel Hofer, Yaroslav Halak, um, Manny Legacy, Chris Mason. I mean, I'm forgetting a couple. I swear I'm missing one. But Jake Allen. So we got this 1-2 tandem, right? So we got Joel
Yeah,
Hofer
yeah.
as our backup and Jordan Bennington as basically God himself. He brought us our 2019 Stanley Cup victory, and for the formidable future, he'll never buy a beer in St. Louis. But I wanted to talk about the tandem itself. So we, as a tandem, last year, I felt like didn't do half bad, right? I don't think that the Blues were
Right.
high nor low in the standings. I think we were just kind of like middle of the road. But I wanted to talk about the Blues first string, Jordan Binnington, being named the seventh goaltender, ranked goaltender across all goalies in the NHL, being seventh. Now, I've said this a couple times on the podcast, and I'm sure it's up for debate. Did he peak in 2019? So what is NHL.com seeing from Jordan Bennington that they're like, because he did not make the top 10 last year. So now he's seventh out of 10. So what
Yeah,
made
it's weird.
NHL.com kind
Yeah.
of be like, hey, you're seventh? Like what did they see last year that maybe we didn't?
I think they're looking at stretches of games for him. It's fun. Like the league's always been down on Bennington, and granted, for the long time after we won the cup, and there's the whole COVID years. That's the whole thing. But the team just wasn't good in front of him. They didn't play well in front of him. They played well in front of Huso when we had him, but the defense was just not where it needed to be. Offense wasn't scoring goals, and Bennington was, I think, our one shining light in a lot of those years. And that may be a bit of a hot take. Not everybody agrees with, but I mean, he's 32 now, and to come off of a 28, 22, and 5 record, it is kind of interesting to see that he's the seventh goalie overall. But
Mm-hmm.
I think I mean, heck, maybe he may have peaked in Game 7. He may not have a better game than that ever again, but he didn't need to. He won us at least the first cup. I would argue that if it weren't for the Kadri incident, in what was that 22, he would have been the guy to get us to another Stanley Cup. But it is what it is. He was playing great, stole us a game or two, and gave the boys enough chance to stay in that series. So I don't know. Is he going to be? I guess you have to ask yourself: is he going to be the kind of goalie that's going to age more like fine wine, or is he going to get to the point where he just starts to fall apart and he just can't keep up anymore? I mean, Fleury's played up until he's almost 40, and he's still a legendary goalie. Um, Not to compare Bennington to Fleury, but maybe he can just progress and age and get better.
Well, that's the thing that I wanted to talk to you about. Is like we always compare goaltenders to their wins and losses, right?
Hmm.
They're obviously their GAA kind of goes. You could have a really good year, still do 40 plus wins or 35 wins, but your goals against average is through the roof. But the only thing that matters is wins and losses.
Right.
Like it really doesn't matter. You're not going to sit a goaltender who's got 35 wins, but his GAA is 5. If they're still winning the game, you're going to put his ass out there every single day. So my thing is like you always gauge by wins and losses, and like Bennington has just not been like statistically consistent, right? And that's why I think we do like really and like as Blues fans, we indulge in the fact that we have this like 1-2 tandem. Like it's okay, Bennington's not going to be great for a couple games. We've got an ace in the hole.
Hmm.
We always have that ace in the hole. We had Jordan Pennington follow as ace in the hole to Jake Allen.
Yeah, Carter Hutton
Jake
following
Allen
Jake Allen
was
too. Don't forget that.
exactly Jake Allen. You had Brian Elliott. Brian Elliott's ace in the hole was Jake Allen. You had Manny Legacy for Chris Mason. You had like there was just like so many goaltenders that we've had as aces in the hole because we knew that like we just didn't have that like that A plus Connor Hellebuck. I know we're gonna shit on that guy because that basically he lets in beach balls in the playoffs. But like we just don't have that guy, and we always
Right.
thought that Jordan Bennington was gonna be that guy. So it's like then you play the Joel Hofer card, right? Joel
Hmm.
Hofer, he got signed back. We thought that he was gonna go elsewhere.
I'm glad he came
Does
back.
he
Yeah.
get do we get 50-50? Does Joe Hofer get 50% of the games just like Jordan Bennington?
So yeah, I don't know if I'm playing devil's advocate with this argument, but to kind of go back on your first points with, I know that you have to look at the goalie's wins and loss record. I think that is an important part of it, but with it being such a team sport, I think you have to look outside of what the goalie is doing alone. Like, I think you could point to plenty of times where it's like, why is the defense leaving him hanging at the dry? It's no wonder we're losing these games. Yeah, he can only do so much back there. I mean, throughout a long season, I mean, looking at he's never played more than 61 games in a season. It looks like, and that's hard on goalies. And it ain't like it was in the 80s and the 70s, or probably where goalies would play damn near the whole year and just be carried on to the playoffs and just do what they have to do. It's just not the way the game's played anymore. So, I mean, finding I think the tandem is what every team strives to do. You got to have a solid guy to give your guy rest, or if he's not feeling confident, Hofer is that guy for the Blues who can step in and say, "Yeah, I've got the team. Our guy can sit out." And I think Hofer understands his role, and I guess for right now, I hope it stays that way for a little bit because as people may disagree, Bennington I think is just going to be the starter. I don't think Bennington has given us a reason to that he's proven that he is not going to be the starter. You know, yeah, he's had bad stretches, but so do a lot of other goalies. I mean, for instance, Hellebuyck got pulled 3 out of 7 games in the playoffs, and he's the Vezina winner. So you're gonna have bad stretches. You're gonna have times where you're just not with it, and that's fine. You have that good backup, and that's what Hofer has been. I guess until we get a good sample size of Hofer as a starter, we don't know what his full season could look like. He could be worse. And it's just speculative, me just kind of talking out my ass here. I'm glad Hofer's with the team. I'm glad Bennington's with the team. I've always liked him. I've never really, like I said, I don't really believe he's given us a reason to say that no, he needs to go right now. He's not going to be the future, and he's rebounded. I think every time he's had doubt cast on him, he's shown up. I mean, look at the Four Nation faceoff this year. And that was
Yes.
in peak when everyone was dogging on him, and he was just having a rough stretch. But that revitalized and that changed his season. He won gold, was a stud in overtime, and proved Doug right, proved a lot of the haters wrong that no, he still has it and is deserving that starter's net for the Blues.
No, you're 100% right, and I can't believe I forgot about the Four Nations, but like that
I
was
did too
when
until
he
just
was
now.
kind of like he was kind of like we were all dogging him like what are we getting out of Jordan Binnington? Like what is he not seeing? And then all of a sudden the Four Nations comes around, he wins gold. He comes back with a renewed confidence. You could tell he had that like Jordan Binnington swagger back.
Hmm.
Like he was kind of like he was commanding the net, and I do think that if we beat Winnipeg, I think we would have made a really good uh,
Would have been a good push for
pass.
sure. Would have been
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah.
absolutely. But no, I
Yeah.
think his confidence was at an all-time high, and that's something that I do credit to the Four Nations. Like he was going in there with something to prove. He had to prove not
Yeah.
only to Canada, but he also had something to prove to the homeland, right? Like to the U.S. fans and the Blues fans being like, "Yo, I still got it. Like I still have the ability to stop the puck." So no, I'm glad you brought that up. I completely forgot about that, but I'm
Yeah. It's
very
amazing
excited to
because
see what he
yeah,
does.
it's amazing the way he can play. And when the stakes get higher, he just gets more solid. He gets hotter as like the game goes on. I don't. I appreciate that we have a goalie who has that kind of mental. What it takes to be a professional athlete, professional NHL goalie. You got to be ready when the pressure is the highest. And Bennington's always been that guy. So, uh, yeah, it's an amazing kind of. I guess I don't know. Maybe an X factor for him, if you will.
Absolutely. So, speaking on what we've been speaking about candidly for the last 40 minutes is what are we going to do? How are the Blues going to regroup from such a I'm not even going to say it was a disappointment because we shouldn't have been there. All along we shouldn't have been
Yeah.
there. In our heads we shouldn't have been in the playoffs, and to be there and into a game 7 in Winnipeg, it just we shouldn't have been there. But given the circumstances, we were. Game 7 we lost. And quite possibly a just a soul crusher OT loss.
Yeah.
What do you think the feeling is in the locker room, knowing that they left something out there
Hmm.
that something was unfinished? How do you feel like the Blues as an organization regroup? And what do you think the players are feeling going into the season, knowing that they had a small sample size taste of what the playoffs are?
Yeah, I think for me, I'd like to frame it as like how the fans are feeling versus. I mean, I'm not in the players' heads. Again, I don't know personally how they all felt about it, but it's like you said, we're playing with house money in the playoffs. We have no right to be here, but yeah, here we are. Let's give it our best shot. And if we lose, we lose. Whatever. Winnipeg's the President's Trophy team. They're due for a playoff win. And then to get to it under 2 seconds, so you blow it and you lose in double overtime. It's like, well, you had it, boys. What happened? And it's painful. It really was painful. I couldn't really bear the thought of it for a little bit. It kind of just, it's just like, suck, my God, we were right there. Every day you wake up, we were right there. We're not playing hockey today because we lost it right there. And I can't imagine what that feels like as a player. I mean, to have it in your fingertips and let it slip away. And yet, it's not like this is the first time the Blues have given up crucial 6-on-5 goals that have led to a playoff loss. This is year in, year out, it seems like. But this year, it just kind of seems like the culmination of all these failures in the past, leading to you can't get much worse than this. You gave up two in like the last minute, and you know I just kind of had to pick myself in the head. Like, if I'm the Blues player, I'm pissed. I'm super mad. I'm going into the offseason just really bummed out. And I heard Steve Ott on the last minute Blues pod, and they asked him that same question. It's like, you guys were right there. How are you guys gonna come back from this? And he said, well, how did you feel? And like, they were mad. Every one of them was mad and pissed off that they lost the game like that. And like, good. I hope that lights the fire under them. And you want to come back now and having a full offseason. Okay, let's regroup. Let's look at the facts. We had a great system going with Monty was here. We pushed the President's Trophy to 7 games, almost to a full 60 minutes in 7 games, but we fell short of our goals. Okay, you let the sting kind of wear off now. If I'm a player in that mindset, I'm thinking, it's a fresh start. Everyone's back on even footing. We have a system that we knew works. If we can get more buy-in, if we can start that from the beginning of the year, heck, why not us be the President's Trophy? Why not us be the one moving on and just, you know, you have the whole hope of the season ahead of you, and with a fire under you that you had from last year, I think it should be a good formula for the Blues to come back in and really start. I want to see them out of the gate hot. If they're not playing with that like tenacity that we saw them play in the playoffs, then I don't know. We should be seeing them hot out of the gate. That's my opinion.
Well, I mean, I think you talked about the house money. Like, I think we're starting with house money. Like, we have everything to gain and nothing to lose. Like, the Blues, the cards are still stacked against us. Like, we should. And I apologize for the barking. I got my oldest dog and my youngest dog,
Going at
trying to
it.
fight each other.
Hmm.
But no, so I think we're playing with house money. Like, with the cards are stacked against us, we should not be where we are. We shouldn't be where, like, the Blues are really good on paper. We are like,
Yeah.
we have a lot of great pieces. We have a goaltender that is clearly proven to win in great, like, high stress situations. Obviously, we didn't like put it all together in Game 7 last year, but like, he's won the Stanley Cup. Like, once you've been to the
Yeah.
Cup, once you've gone through the gauntlet of 4 teams, and you have that as your goaltender, like, they're just a different breed, right? And so we have all these moving pieces. We have all the right players in place that I feel like we could put something together where I don't see us winning the conference, or I don't see us winning the President's Trophy. I don't see us being first in the conference,
Yeah.
but I do think we're going to be in that first, second, or third spot in the conference
Mm.
to make one hell of a move, because I do think the Blues are statistically really good this year. I say statistically like we've played a couple of games. No, like, just like looking at all the pieces and looking at all the players that we have on the roster and how much depth we actually have now, I do think we could put something together. And I do think the regroup, we called it a retool, and we
Hmm.
laughed about it because it's like we were retooling, but we didn't actually retool. I kind of think we got better.
Yeah. Not.
Somebody
Yeah.
came in the locker room.
Yeah.
The Jim Montgomery retool was short as hell. And we put a lot of things together, and Montgomery came in and was like, "We're gonna get this done." Like,
Well, let's not forget,
everybody's counting us
Holloway and
down
Broberg being a big part of that too. It's like before
for
we
sure.
signed Broberg and Holloway, I that definitely accelerated things because without them, who do we have on the roster beforehand? It's I can't even remember who would have been taking their place, and we wouldn't have been the same team without them. It.
Yeah.
And I feel like the Blues have definitely put a puzzle together that they think is everything looks like a good fit, and only like I said, we have a preseason hockey in like 12 days, so
Hmm.
we'll find out soon enough. Um, I know there's like panel experts who are down on the Blues. I think saying some will say we'll finish like in last in the division, and some have us up in third, second place. Some have us mixed in between. There's always gonna be those people who are hating on the Blues, and I just something just feels different right now. With the promise of Holloway coming back healthy, with Tucker coming back healthy, and with the confidence he gained in the playoffs, with Snuggerud coming
Yes.
back and looking to prove everything, and not to mention, a lot of those players shouldn't feel safe that their roster spot is assured because you still have you have Dvorsky, you have McGinn, you have now Carbonneau. He may not show up this year, but he's down there in the prospect. He's gonna be working his way through. Stenberg, a lot of other guys I can't pronounce, so I'm not gonna try. Uh, it's something just kind of feels different, and maybe that's just a preseason, hope that we get every year. But I truly think that with Montgomery slated as a long-term coach for us, with the system that he started implementing and the players started buying into it, this really
Mhm.
could be a special year for the St. Louis Blues, and I'm I'm really gonna enjoy the ride that we get out of the 25-26 season.
You put the bow on it right there, man. Like I like thinking about the farm club. We haven't even mentioned any of the people in the farm club, but we have the ceiling is so high for the Blues. Our depth in the farm system and what we actually have on the roster. Like like yeah, like you said, man. Like having guys confident in their position and being locked up, like it only makes the drive that much better. Is like that internal competition, right? Being like, fuck, I don't want to lose my second, wing spot to a guy that, is working harder and faster than me. Like
Mm-hmm.
that internal competition only makes for better organizations, and like everybody is accountable for their own own doing, right? Like you can't be pissed off
Right.
if somebody outworks you and outplays you. Like that is 100% in your control. So you put the nail on the head right there. Is like just having the farm system we do and having the roster we do. Like it's just only going to create that internal competition that our team is going to be really good. I again, like you can say it like this is September 8th. I do think the Blues are going to be a really, really good team this year, and I think we're gonna surprise a lot of folks.
Mm-hmm.
But before we go, I want to get into a little small game. I don't know if this is going to stay for the remainder of the podcast, but I thought it'd be something fun to do since we haven't started the year yet. It's a little over under game.
Let's go.
I'm gonna list off a couple questions, a couple players, and all you gotta do is tell me if you think they're gonna be over or under the projected stat that I'm gonna come up with.
Let's do it.
So we just talked about goaltenders, so I think we should start with Jordan Bennington. Do you think Jordan Bennington is gonna be over or under 24 wins?
I'll take the over on that.
You're gonna take the over on that. I
Mm-hmm.
like that. All right, so Jordan Kyrou. He played 82 games last year, 36 goals, 34 assists. He had 70 points. Do you think Jordan Kyrou is going to be over or under 67 points?
Oh, I think he'll be able to surpass that. He'll be over.
Yeah,
If he
that's
plays
that's the
if
thing is
yeah, with Shannon and Holloway, if they play like they did and they stay healthy, look out.
yeah.
And
Look
then the
out is
second
right.
line, they already got Thomas, you got Booch and Snuggy distracting the shutdown pairs. Now you have the second line coming in and they can do a lot of damage, which we saw already. So uh, yeah, I think I'll take the over on 70.
All
Big
right,
year
so
for
my
him.
favorite, who I think should be captain of the St. Louis Blues, but we won't get into it. We'll save that for another podcast. Robert Thomas played 70 games. He did have a small little injury.
Get that out of the
21
world.
goals, 60 assists,
Mason.
81 points. Okay.
Only 81. That
Does
seems
Robert,
slow.
yep, does Robert Thomas get more than 24 goals? He had 21
Oh,
last year.
that's interesting.
But we did just talk about him
Yeah.
having Snuggy and Booch. I believe that his assists are going to be larger than goals. He had
You know, I'm a
21 goals.
I'm a pretty optimistic guy, but I feel like I don't want to just go over on all because that's boring. But if Thomas, I think he'll break 20, but I think I'll take the under because I just want to see him rip those passes, man. He's
Yeah.
everyone has the hole. You got to have your oats. You got to have the guy setting up holes, and Thomas has been that guy since he got into this league. So I'll take the under on goals. And yeah, I'm gonna be hopefully he gets those assists way up.
Yeah, it's just like, we talked about that first line a lot. Like having Snuggie and Booch, like those guys are premier goal scorers. Like I would
Hmm.
I would 100% swallow the fact that Thomas only gets like 20 goals if he's ripping 80 passes
Yeah,
either which way.
I won't
And I
complain
think
if he scores
and I
more,
did
but
the 1A the wild card question I'll save to the end, but like it does have to do with Robert Thomas because there's a couple questions that we had
mm,
last year at the beginning of the year if he was going to be able to surpass a certain milestone. Colton Parayko had pretty much, I would consider, almost a career year.
I would
He had
say that's fair.
64 games played. He did deal with a little bit of an injury. 16 goals, 20 assists, 36 points. Do you think he crosses the 40-point mark?
You know,
Now mention
yeah,
64 games played, and he did that in 64 games.
and he
Does
got
he
yeah.
pass?
Oh, he would have gone well. He would have gone well over that. That injury came right at the height of his, kind
Hmm.
of rampage and points. So it was like, man, Pareko is here. He's finally learned how to be an offensive defenseman, and then he just gets injured and out for a long time. So I'll take the over if he can stay healthy. I feel like
Yeah.
give him some. I almost feel like I put a caveat because man, if he gets hurt, well then that sucks. But I'll be optimistic and say he'll do it, and maybe he'll get some power play time. And since he apparently isn't as afraid to shoot the puck anymore as he used to be in years past, uh, and yeah, he's figuring out it's clicking for him. He's finding seeing the ice a little bit better. So yeah, we'll take the over on that.
Blues legend, newly to the team, Dylan Holloway. Played in
Hmm.
77 games last year, 26 goals, 37 assists with a 63-point total. Does Dylan Holloway surpass the 30 goal mark?
Oh, now that is
Do
a
you
good
think he's
point.
over or under 30 goals?
Hang on a second. How many goals did he have last year?
26 goals,
26.
37
Oh,
assists, but he did get hurt, and he
at
wasn't the
the end of
same
the
when he
year
came back.
too. Missed. Yeah, man, he was right there. Um, yeah, I'll take the over again on that. I think this might be I'm not as certain on this. But I'll take the over that he can get the third again. Gonna depend if he can stay healthy. I mean that's a lot of games you're missing. That well, not that many games. He only missed 5, but with the way that's kind of the way they felt like they were playing. Every game they had a chance to score. They had a chance to do something great. And now he's got some established chemistry with Kyrie and Shin. That
Hmm.
gives me some more faith that he'll do it. So yeah, let's take it. The over.
His counterpart in the offer sheet, Philip Broberg. Okay, he played 68 games, had 8 goals, 21 assists, 29 points. He did get injured as well. I believe that he was kind of like exactly how Pareko was. He was an offensive threat. Like when he had the puck, you really
Hmm.
thought he could put it in the back of the net. He scored 8 goals, 21 assists. Do you think that he gets past the 12 goal mark? Do you think he's over or under 12 goals this year? He had 8 and 68.
Hmm. Yeah, with defensemen, I think it's easier to discount the fact that they're not, getting those high danger scoring chances every night. I'll take the under on 12 goals. Again, if I get proven wrong, I hope I do, but I think he definitely has the potential to do it, but I don't think that it will. I think I'll stay under. Keep it simple.
All right, I got 2 more questions left for you, and then I have a wild card. All right.
All right, let's do it.
I've already asked you about 2 of the guys on the first line. I thought we'd followed up. Or sorry, I already asked you about one of the guys on the first line. I'm gonna end up asking you about the next 2.
Okay.
Pavel Buchnevich had 76 games played, 20 goals, 37 assists, and 57 points. Do you think that he passes or gets more or less than 35 assists? We talked about Thomas Dishon. Do you think he gets 35 assists,
Yeah.
higher or lower? He had 37 last year.
He had 36 a year before. Well, heck, I mean, look at he said 46, 41, 36, 37. I think with those, he's got a good history of doing it with the Blues. So, uh, he's always been kind of he's a premier goal scorer, as you say, but I think playmaking has just been part of his game. Um, so I will say yes, the over. I feel pretty confident with that one.
All right, Jimmy Snuggerud. Only played in 7 games
All
last year, but but this is basically the this is Tarasenko 2.0. I believe he is going to take the Blues organization to quite the destination. 7 games played, 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points. So 4 points in 7 games played. Do you believe that Jimmy Snuggerud will have over or under 35 points?
35 points. I feel like yes, because I mean that could be split pretty. I would. I thought you were gonna ask me about like a goal total. I would say if he could be like a 20 goal scorer. I think he could be a 20 goal scorer this year. I mean, it's just with the way there's no real way to know for sure, but with the way they're projecting him and the fact that he's a right-handed shot, uh, yeah, I'd say let's go for it. Let's give him the
Okay.
over. He's played, like I said, 7 games, a little bit of playoffs, and he's already projected to be the first line winger. Clearly, something's there, so that seems like a good bet for me.
The wild card question, and I kind of teased it a little bit when we talked about Thomas before. So Robert Thomas, 81 points last year in 70 games played. We talked about it the season before. Does Robert Thomas get to 100 points? Will he be over or under 100 points?
That is the $1 million question because can he stay healthy? I mean, he played a full
That's
82, 23, 24, and had 86 points. Man, I think, I think, eventually, yes. Does he do it this year? I'm kind of on the fence with that one, but I think it'd be a little more realistic. And then I mean, he'd have to jump almost 20 assists or almost 15 assists from 2 years ago to get over 100. I'll take the under. I hope he gets really close. I think let's see if he can break 90, and then talk 100 from there. Or
I
maybe he'll just
believe he's
say, "No, screw this guy. I'll just do it right now this year." He might.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm
Making
really
my
hoping
words.
for it. I'm really hoping for it. I think he's around like maybe 94 points is where I kind of see him. If he stays healthy, I think he has the potential to go to 100. He really does. Like I just think injuries just kind of bite him in the ass.
Yeah.
Um, but hey, that's a part of the game. You got to stay healthy in order to contribute. So, Jordan, I really appreciate you stopping by and spending an hour with us talking Blues hockey. Again, we're for the fans, by the fans. Uh, I just want to thank Interstate 70 Sports Media Group for powering us and being our team, but the behind the scenes team. Scooters Coffee, again, if you want to stop by the ones on Highway 143 in Troxel Way in Highland or off of Vandalia Street and Indian Avenue in Collinsville. Again, 30 locations all around the greater St. Louis area. If you need your little morning pick me up or an energy infusion after, stop on to Scooters Coffee. And then Who's Custom Design. If you need something for your man cave or your office, always available upon request. But yeah, Jordan, thanks. And you have anything else to add?
No, I think we covered a lot of ground here. Uh, Man, I'm looking forward to the season. So should be a lot of fun
Absolutely.
either way. And
Absolutely. All right.
yeah,
If yeah, so we got nothing else to add. Jordan, give me a Let's Go Blues and we'll get out of here.
let's go, baby. Let's go Blues.
Thanks, everybody.
See ya.